4D Cheshire Cat Acrylic Nail Art Tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish. Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be ending my Alice in Wonderland mini-series with another Cheshire Cat design. So the first one was a natural nail Cheshire design, and so this one is going to be three-dimensional. Actually, it's going to be four-dimensional, and when you look at it, it's just really plain, you know, Cheshire Cat hanging out in a tree. But then you can take him off the nail, the Cheshire Cat, because he's magnetic. You can just pop him off, and underneath that is a little, it's glow-in-the-dark Cheshire Cat where he's all like missing parts. So that was so cool, and the glow-in-the-dark element I think is perfect, and I love the Cheshire Cat. Obviously this is like my winter scarf. He's got a crazy long tail, and so I had so much fun. This is actually the design that inspired the rest of these nails, so I hope you like it, and don't forget to click subscribe to see my future videos as well. So to begin with, you're going to want to glue two magnets onto the nail. So just put down a little bit of nail glue and then glue down the magnets. So the first one is going to be on the one side, and then do the other one on the other side. So it's going to be like in his head and then in his butt. So just glue those, and as you can see, this might be easier said than done, especially if you are nail glue challenged as I am. And magnets are hard to glue because you get one glued down, that one's fine, but then trying to get the other one stuck down because it wants to just hang out with the other, it's like sucks into the other one, and then you can't get them apart, and yeah. It's a challenge. So if this is the hardest part of the design for you, then you should be good after you get those attached. But then around them and just under them, you're going to need to put down some glow-in-the-dark powder. So just dip a bead of clear acrylic into some glow powder and set that down, and then just fill in the rest of the nail with clear acrylic. Since the whole nail is going to be painted, you could really put any color you want around it, but I didn't want to compromise any of that glow, so I wanted just to make sure it was clear, just so that anywhere that I wanted it to glow, I could. But I knew that the glow would just be focused around those magnets, so that's the only place I put that. So now I'm going to be filing it with a 180 grit file, and as you're filing it, you can file all the acrylic down through the magnets, or to the magnets. The magnets won't file, maybe if you had a really rough or a really low grit file or you're really wearing on them, but for the most part you should be good. And then I also buffed that. So now I'm going to be painting the outline of my Cheshire Cat face. So I started with two ovals for his eyes, and now I'm going to be, that's the top line of his smile. Here's the bottom line of his smile, just like that. And then I'm going to be separating out his teeth. And as you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're looking at what the inside of the lines look like. Not the outside lines, it doesn't really matter because that's just going to be filled in with black anyway, which I'm doing right now. So just really think about the inside shape and maybe make things a little larger than you would normally, just because you can't see the outlines. And usually when you're looking at something, you take into consideration the size of the outlines into the size of what you're looking at. But when you can't see them, then you don't have that. So just make it like a pinch bigger than what you normally would do, and then fill in the background with more of that black acrylic paint. And you might want to add a couple coats of the black just to make sure that none of the glow sticks through where you don't want it to. And then paint over the eyes with a thin layer of yellow paint. The glow in the dark will show through the yellow. And then after that's on there, add his pupils again with black, just like that. And now I'm going to be applying, I'm going to be painting the tree, not applying the tree. I'm going to be painting the tree. So I did a couple shades of purple, like a lavender, a bright purple, and a dark purple, as well as black. So I just kind of, while the paint was wet, just scribbled some in there with different colors. Actually, I didn't use any of the dark purple, just a bright purple and a light purple, and then black. And just paint it in, make it kind of rough looking because tree bark is not smooth. So it's just kind of like you're scribbling, which is fun and easy. And then add a couple leaves almost on the other side, up the side of the nail. And then I'm just going to touch up the lines with a couple bits of more black and blend that in. Like I said, really simple. Do it quickly because that's going to make it less perfect and just more tree-like almost. And then add a layer of gel sealer and then cure that. Wrap the nail once it's cured in saran wrap really, really tight. Hold it as tight as you can get it. And then set two magnets on top of the other magnets that are underneath. So it goes nail, plastic wrap, magnets. So then we're going to be sculpting our Cheshire Cat on top of the saran wrap. Now, you might think, well, wouldn't a nail form work better on that? A nail form has a lot of stiffness. It's stiff, which it needs to be for sculpting nails. So it won't go around the curvature of the nail. And so that's where you can't really use that, which is unfortunate because it's smoother and it'd be easier to work on. The other thing is you can't see through a nail form, so you cannot see to make sure that you are completely covering up your Cheshire Cat glow-in-the-dark face that's underneath. So it's necessary to use the plastic wrap. Just for, I mean, some things you can definitely use a nail form backing. I know when I made my 3D, the 4D opening mouth crocodile, that one I used a nail form, and a nail form worked perfectly for that. So it it's circumstantial which ones you need to use where. So I sculpted, and he starts out with almost like a little oval shape for his body and his butt, and then his tail comes up sort of all swoopy, just like that. And I'm using light pink acrylic for this, just a really pretty pale pink. I'll go through and I did almost everything with this light pink, everything but his eyes. And so then I painted the stripes and everything like that with just paint, just because I think it's easier to work with. Plus, when you're working with paint, you know that it's not going to add any thickness. And so the shape is going to be right. It's going to keep that. It's just going to add the color. So then I'm going to be doing his head there. And when you're doing his head, you got to make sure that you give it that proper Cheshire Cat's shape, really wide smile, and then a little bit thinner like around his eyes. So I'm going to add a second layer to his smile area and just tuck that in so it's got the right shape, because that comes out further, so you want to make sure that that has another layer of the pink on it. And then I'm going to be adding his ears. I'm just going to put down that bead of acrylic and then break it in half with my brush, and then sort of pull it back together and keep messing with it, break it in half again if it sort of reattaches itself. Just make the ears just like that. And then add a little bit more acrylic beneath the ears, so with that little tuft of hair that kind of sticks out around them. Just like that, just with pink. And then I'm going to be taking some glow-in-the-dark powder again, so clear acrylic glow powder, and I'm going to be adding his eyes. So just add them, put the bead down, split it in half like you did with the ears, and then form it. And I did use glow-in-the-dark powder for his eyes and on the 3D one as well. And you can see it. It is definitely visible. It's just not nearly as visible as underneath. So I do have a photo of it, and I will post a picture of that on Instagram. But the photo itself just wasn't quite, I mean, you can see it in real life, but you can't really see it on camera, which you can, it's just not as good. And so then I also added his arms just like that underneath his chin. I also added just a little pink bead for his nose as well. So his arms are kind of like he's resting his chin on his paws. So they just kind of bend up and rest under his chin like that. And then blend that one back out, and add just a little hint of a back leg. It's tucked underneath him, so you can't really see much of it. It's just a little dip down just like that. I'm going to increase the size of like the little bump in his spine right there. Just bring that up. So then once that is set, you can peel that off the nail, or pop it off the nail, and then peel off the plastic wrap. And if you need to file it or add anything, go ahead. I thought mine was pretty good. I didn't mind it was slightly rough around his tail, but I thought it was perfectly fine, so I just left it and continued on. So then I'm going to paint him, and so I'm painting his, like around his smile with a lighter shade of pink. This is a really, really pale pink that's almost, not quite, but almost white. It's just really, really light. And I'm going to be adding some little bits of color around everywhere else. So then I'm going to paint above his eyes, like around his eye, or not above, but around his eyes with a really bright purple, the same purple that I used on the tree, and then do the back side of each ear, and then around his eyes like that, just really tucking it in. I know that it's almost difficult to do that in between his eyes. And then I'm going to be adding his stripes. So as you're doing this, make sure that you pay attention to where his arms are and adjust the direction of the stripes accordingly. And then go around his chin, do the other arm like that, and then add the rest of his back stripes. Just like so. And then after you have all of those in place, you're also going to want to adjust them slightly to do his tail stripes. So the direction of the stripes changes, which really helps what you're doing. It makes it easier to see. I'm going to add a second layer of that bright color to his head, because that's going to darken it, and that's going to make that area just stand out a little bit more. Add a little highlight on the tip of each ear, or inside each ear. Paint his eyes with yellow. Once again, the glow does show through the yellow. And so then I'm going to just split those two eyes apart, because the yellow sort of went between them, and then add little details with black, starting with his smile. So I just added first a little line coming down from it for his split lip from his nose, and then I'm going to be outlining his mouth, and then adding the pupils in his eyes like that. They got a little crazy, might have to fix those. Add his eyebrows, and then do just little outlines on his nose, and add whiskers. Add nostrils, and then outline his arms just a little bit, nothing too crazy, and around his chin, just enough to really define that area and make it easy to see. So then around his arms like that, tail, just split those areas up so that so that your eye can easily tell what's where. And then I'm going to be filling in his mouth, his smile, with white. And the reason I didn't do the white right after I did the black is because if the black's not dry, it's going to blend together and make gray. And I'm going to split up his teeth with black paint once again. Just like that. And the Cheshire Cat has his middle tooth is like a middle tooth, And so you got to make sure that you add a line to either side of the middle for that first tooth. Put matte top coat over your Cheshire Cat and you are all done. So I hope you like this guy. I think he's adorable and the whole thing just cracks me up. This is like my favorite part of the movie. So I really enjoyed making this one. And I hope you like it too, and share any recreations with me on Facebook and Instagram. I would just love to see them, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!